So, you guys remember when our gunshot effects used to look like this? And then this? Well, now they look like this. That's right, I finally learned how to do gunshot effects in a good-looking manner. Of course, you know, it's not like Hollywood level, but hey, it's better than that. So today, you're gonna learn, just like I did, how to do it. Although, everything we're learning today is in Davinci Resolve, so everything that I'm teaching, you know, for use in Davinci Resolve, but I'm like 95% certain that it all translates to other editing software, so let's get to it. The first thing we need to make sure that we do is have all of our stuff in distinct folders. So I have mine separated into gun sound effects, gun visual effects, and gun, well, not gun, but just the footage that I want to put the gun visual effects on. So I'm going to choose this clip that I already had in the viewer right here. So we're going to slap it on the timeline, and we're going to give it a watch to see what it looks like without the gunshot effects.
Action.
Yeah, it looks pretty awkward, doesn't it? So, what we're gonna do is back up to the point that we want to put on the actual visual effect. So, I want to put it on right here. So, what we're gonna do, zoom in, go to our gun visual effects, and this is the one that I want to put, stick it on the timeline, and that's a lot of green. So what we're going to do next is click the visual effect for the gun. We're going to go over to Fusion, and then we're going to right click in between media in 1 and media out 1. We're going to right click, go up to Add Tool, then down to Matte, and then Delta Keyer. Now we have the Delta Keyer open. We're going to go over to the qualifier, the little dropper, click it, hold it, and then drag it over to the green, and boom. All the green is suddenly gone. You go back to edit, and we're transparent. So the next thing will be to rotate all the way until we get it in position. I think this is where I want it to be. That way it actually looks like it makes sense. Then we're going to move it over, and then down. That way we actually have make it make sense. So we're going to give it a playback. That's a start, but we're not even close to being done. But as you see, boom. So then the next step, we're going to go to the exact point where we have the muzzle flash, and we're going to zoom in on the timeline, and you're going to cut out a single frame, just one frame. So in my case, that would be Control B. And we're going to make sure the next clip is highlighted, not the first one, this next one. We're going to go over exactly one frame. Then we're going to Control B again. And now you have one singular frame where the actual muzzle flash is. So then you're going to go to your color tab, check your clips, make sure you're looking at the right one. So this is the starting clip right before the muzzle flash. This will be the clip with the muzzle flash. There's the muzzle flash itself, and then the clip after the muzzle flash. So we're going to go to the clip with the muzzle flash, put that away. And then the first step, everything is right. And obviously, before you actually do any of this, you need to make sure that your clip is graded properly. Otherwise, you're going to mess up how the final color comes out. Now, we're going to pick this tool right here. But before we actually do anything, we're going to add some more nodes. So I would suggest probably about 5. And this will vary depending on what kind of grade you do beforehand. But for our case of just doing this bare, we're going to do 5. So the first step, we're going to draw about a type of shape around. So we're going to have that shape around the muzzle flash. Then we're going to go over to our lift, crank it up high. And then you're going to see that looks absolutely terrible. But that's where the fun part comes in. So we're going to get back onto here. We're going to turn up soft 1 all the way. So now we have a clean, bright flash around the muzzle flare. So that way it actually looks like there's a flash going on. But that isn't the end. We're gonna add another flash. This time, I wanna do the hardest one first, which will be this area here. So we're gonna pick this tool again, make sure you're on the right node. Then we're gonna start here. And you're gonna kinda draw an outline around where you need less brightness. And it's totally fine if you put the stuff out of the frame, because obviously it's only going to affect what's in the frame. So while we have that sorted out, honestly just gonna shift the whole thing over a little bit. And we're only gonna increase the brightness by a little teeny bit, because the whole area does get flashed, but not as much. Then you click away, you see this area is just a touch brighter. Actually, we're gonna pump it up just a little bit more. And then we're gonna hit our soft one. Make sure it looks reasonable. So that area is gonna brighten up just a little bit. And the next area to add a little brightness will be around here. That way, because obviously if that's flashing around his face, he's gonna get brighter. So that will be our approximate shape. Might want to extend it out just a touch. And maybe finesse it, get the shape right a little. And now we're gonna crank up that brightness a good bit. And then obviously hit soft one. Probably tighten that up a little. And one of the key things is that every time you do something like this, you're gonna wanna back out to edit. Look how that looks. So we're gonna play it back. All right, so that's looking a little uneven, but we're gonna fix that soon enough. So something we wanna do first is, so you see how that sticks out like a sore thumb against the brighter area? What we're gonna do, we're gonna go to the actual gunshot effect itself and crank up the lift. That way, it blends in a little more. You go back to edit. All right, so now, it might look a little funky if you pause on the frame, but when you watch in action, now, there's still some work that needs to be done because this is looking a little uneven. So we're going to even it up. We're going to make sure we're selecting on the right clip, of course. Bring that in a little. Honestly, I might need to drop the exposure some. Oopsie. Drop that exposure by a little. Walk it back, see how, there it is. That's looking more right there. Now, we do need to even up this area because the whole room obviously is being flashed, and we've completely neglected this right here. So that's gonna be the last thing we do. And then this clip is basically done. We're gonna go back one, boom. So we got one more area to touch up, which will be this here. So we're gonna select this tool again, draw our shape. So kind of keep in mind where you've just drawn the rest of your shape. And then, now we got this. Crank up that brightness a touch, but not too much, because you need it to only brighten up a little bit in comparison to everything else. And then soften it up, click away, and we have ourselves some magic. There it is. Now we have a muzzle flash that looks realistic, and I'll even play it full screen just so you can see. Wow, what a doozy. Could you imagine if we actually implemented that in Ace Part 1? It would have been a marginally better film. You should totally check it out. Card up here, link in the description. But before we get to the next portion of the video, I want to make sure you check out our previous video where we interviewed the very talented Samurai G and learned everything about him. Card up here, link also in the description. Alright, let's get to it. We've completed the harder of the two versions of how to do a gunshot effect, and let's take a look at it one more time. Very nice, very nice. Now we're going to do the honestly way easier version. So let's pick our clip, which I already kind of had selected. This here, which you should totally go check out. Links in the description and or also a card right on here. We're going to put the clip on the timeline and crank that audio down. Because if you did watch Ace Part 2, you know exactly what that sounded like. Yeah, not exactly the greatest. But we've learned since then. So, first we're going to find our spot that we want to apply the shot to. That's where I want the first shot. So, right there. And then we're going to do gun effect. Now, I already have my point selected, so we're going to throw it on the timeline. But I am just going to put the video only because this particular one does have a sound effect to it. And now for the easiest part. So instead of going to Fusion and Delta K and all that, all you need to do is go to your composite mode right here, click add, boom, already done. And now all you have to do is adjust accordingly to get it into position. So we're going to rotate, move it down and over. Boom. Just that simple. And just like last time, we're going to cut out our single frame. And then we're going to find our second point because this clip has two gunshots. Right there. We're going to copy and paste. That's where I want the gunshot. And then we're going to adjust accordingly. Boom, done. And then cut our one frame. So now we have our everything that we need. So now let's head to the color tab. Now, for this particular instance, we do not have to do nearly as much light work like we did. Here we just simply have to add in a slight flash, like the slightest flash, seeing as it's daylight on his facial area, and facial and kind of torso. So we're gonna grab our this tool here and cut our shape. So I basically just want right around here to be lit. Even that out a little. Bam. Raise that exposure up by about that much. Soften. And playback. See that flash? That's exactly what we want. Then we do it on this clip here. Now for this, seeing as he's moving, it's a little challenging to pick out where you want, but honestly, you really kind of just want to light up this area. And you know, obviously it's going to vary depending on your clip, but for this particular one, I'm going to light up here, because that's going to be the darkest portion of the frame that would likely be affected by the muzzle flash. Oh goodness, that's awkward. All right, and now we adjust our points. And we brighten and soften. Bring that in there too. There we go. And then we play back. This time we're going to play it in full screen so we can get a good look. It's so quick, you don't even have time to think about it. All right, that's about going to do it for us today. I hope you guys learned something, because I know I certainly did. But before you go, make sure you're subscribed to the channel and that you also click the bell so you get notified when we post. And also, don't forget to like and comment. So yeah, we'll see you guys in the next... Oh.